And a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to Fairway to Heaven, right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow, subscribe, turn the notifications on. We're here live every Monday night, breaking down this week's PGA Tour event, or as in this case, this week's events. So make sure you get that all out there because we've got the Genesis Scottish Open, the Scottish Genesis Open, whatever it's called, and the Barbasol Championship. Two events for the price of one this week. Two talking points, two tournaments for the price of one. What is up? Is Justin Sue even an event this week? Hold on. Let me check here before we even get started here. Let me even see because I didn't even pick up his name. He is not in the Scottish Open. I'm assuming he is not in the Barbasol. Where is he? Did he disappear? Did he go bye-bye? Did he realize he was tired of us talking about him on this show? So he had to take a little break before the Open Champion. Is he in the Open Championship field next week? I don't know. All right. So anyway, we got two events this week. We've got, like I said, the Genesis Scottish Open. That is the main event this week. That is the event that a majority of the pro players have traveled across the pond to get themselves ready for the Open Championship next week. They're most of the PGA Tour regulars. It's now like co-sanctioned with the DP World Tour at the Renaissance Club. It's, a huge event. I mean, so many of the top players, top 75 from the PGA and DP Tour were invited. Some playing, some not, but it is what it is. Then we also got the Barbasol Championship, which is, a dumpster fire of all dumpster fires for quality of field. But I actually think it's a really important field, and you can still make money on it. You can still bet it, and you can still build winning DFS lineups. And we're just tonight's show. I've had a very busy day, very hectic day, and this is a week that I tend to bet less and study more, and do less lineups and study more because I love the majors. And next week being the final major of the year, when we do the Genesis Scottish Open, there's a lot of guys in the field that we just don't know. You got a lot of the DP World, unless you're a DP World Tour junkie, watching that stuff regularly on the Golf Channel, unless you're studying those odds regularly, we don't know those top guys. So I tend to sit back. I've got 4 outright bets on the Scottish Open. I've only built one lineup so far for the Scottish Open because this week I'm just writing names down. I'm taking notes. I'm going to watch a lot of the golf this week, and I'm just going to take notes because, this week we'll put my model up here on the screen for the Genesis Open. Yeah, of course you got Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander, the defending champ. You got Fitzy, Hovland. You got all these names we know. But then you go down this list, you got a lot of names we don't know. Name like we're learning Ludwig Aberg. We've been learning his name, but you got Ryan Fox and Detry. You got Bobby Mack in it. And you go further down here, you start going into Alexander Bjork, Jordan Smith, Bezuidenhout, Olsen. A lot of guys that, who's this? Just Luton? We don't know who any of these guys are, but these are guys that we were playing. I mean, I'll just point out one name right off the bat. I just added 110 to 1 outright on him. Where was he on this card? Where was he now? There he is, Alexander Bjork. I mean, he finishes 144 in the model because he doesn't play on the PGA Tour very often. But this is why this week you could still make money. And if I wasn't doing double research and looking on DraftKings and other sites, I mean, this guy's got 4 top 9s in his last 4 events on the World Tour, on the DP Tour. He's gone 4th, 8th, 9th, 6th, 29th, 4th, 4th, 14th, 16th, 28th, 42, 2nd, 16, 28. He has literally finished in the top 10 more than a half a dozen times. Yet we don't know who he is. We don't know much about him. Yeah, I'll throw a penny or two at him to win at 110 to 1. I'll put him in one of my lineups because those finishes are great, but I don't know a lot about him. So this will be a week. He's one of the names I'm starring, and I'll focus on learning more about him this week so that next week when we're doing our Open Championship and I'm putting together 40-some lineups, I know a little bit more information. But anyway, we'll minimize that for a second, the model. So what is the Renaissance Club and this co-sanctioned event? First off, it's on the coastline of the North Sea. Weather is a factor. The Genesis Scottish Open, we've seen scores range from 5 under winning this event to 22 under. Last year it was 7 under when Xander won this event. There's such a wide range of scores because it's on the coastline, because it's in the UK. Weather's a factor. Can be, could be, might not be. And when you're playing on the DP Tour, Well, they don't stop for a little bit of rain or a little bit of wind. So, and the weather is starting to looking a little sketchy looking for this event. So, we'll see. So, what kind of golfers do you need, and why is it like this? So, it's a par 71, course, but it's one of those unique courses. There's only 9 par 4s. You've got 5 par 3s and 4 par 5s. And of those 9 par 4s, like 5 of them are between 450 and 500, but you got some drivable ones as well. So there's a lot that goes into trying to build a model this week, a lot that you have to look into for a golfer. Maybe a little bit on the birdie or better side, depending on what the weather's going to be. You need guys that can score on par 5s and par 3s. You need guys that are good on par 4s on the longer ones. But to me, it's still the pretty simple thing. Who are the best ball strikers? Who are the best tee to green? Who are the best around the green? Because when you're playing these link style courses this week, next week with the Open Championship, you're going to hit a lot of longer shots. The rollout on these fairways present a lot of short game around the green work that needs to be done. A lot of long putting, so putting gets to play. A lot of people putt from off the green from a mile away. We saw it with the Open Championship last year. So approach, balls. There's so much that goes into it. Driving distance. It does matter. You can't go solely on it because of the rollout off the tee comes into play. But there's lots that you can look at this week with this event. So I've built this simple model this week, fairly simple in my mind. Something that I just, put together to give me a ballpark to build some lineups. But I've got to spend this week. So if you're just focusing on your model, you're going to fail yourself with this event. Mainly because these European guys, like a Bjork, the models on fantasynational.com, fantastic. Check them out, fantasynational.com. But they don't take into the account the shots gained stats on the DP Tour. They don't have the DP Tour results on there. So a guy like Bjork, who's been in the top 9 4 straight weeks, is 144th in my model. And obviously, if all his numbers and information were in there, he'd be much better. So you got to take 2 things into account. That's why I've got a second screen up with all these results, all these DP Tour results at my knowledge. Another name, don't call me Michael, but Matthew Jordan. I mean, the guy's made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight cuts. He's got a 19th, a 16th, a 17th, 34th, and 22nd. Earlier this year, he had a couple top 20s on the DP Tour. Matthew Jordan, another name. Names that they're just going to fail in the model, but are viable plays. So what am I doing? How am I different? You got Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler, I think, he's obviously the best golfer on tour, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, how many teams? 4th, 3rd, 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 2nd, 5th, 11th, 10th, 1st, 4th, 12th, 1st, 11th, 7th, 9th, 3rd, 45th, 2nd, 3rd. He's just a monster. But yet, 2 of his last 3 cuts, one was at the FedEx St. Jude, and the other was at the Genesis Scottish Open last year. And you see at the Open Championship last year, he finished 21st place. Maybe these European things are just not, his company. I guess maybe, he did finish 8th at the Open 2 years ago. If you're going to take anything into account and a week to skip over Scotty Scheffler, this might be that week, considering he missed the cut at this event. But what are you looking for? What kind of golfers? Everything I've just said. The fact that it could be a grinder of a 5 under, it could be a birdie fest at 22 under. It's probably going to lean towards the grinder event. Weather's going to be a factor. What are you looking for when you're trying to build a lineup at the top end? What are you looking for when you're trying to build, your betting card this week? Trying to find 1 or 2 long shot odds that shouldn't be long shots, like Bjork, who I've bet 110 to 1. Or you're looking for guys that have had success on the DP Tour, at least some, or success in link style, grinded out weather, bad weather, can control the trajectory of your shot. I know Tommy Fleetwood's a popular pick this week. I won't bet him ever again. I said that. I don't know how I've stuck to it so far. But I looked at my favorite play this week and my top play this week as Victor Hovland. I think he's the guy that wins this event. He's 18 to 1 on DraftKings this morning. He's 6 in my model. The guy's a fantastic golfer. He's gotten that win at the Memorial now off his chest. He almost won the Open Championship. I know he missed the cut here last year, losing some strokes off the tee, or overall. But I'm going back in time a little further here. 12th. He's got some great finishes at the Open Championship. He's got great finishes on the European tour as a whole. This is the type of event, that he could really perform well at. This is an event he could win. He does everything. He does grind it better than people realize. His around the green play has gotten significant. I mean, he's 77th in the group of seven, the group that's playing in this event over the last 36 rounds. But that was 140th 6 months ago. What is up, Adam? How you doing today? We got 2 for the price of 1. We're trying to make this a quick episode. So if you got any questions this week, you let me know, and I'll get them into the show as quickly as I can. So I think Viktor Hovland is a fantastic bet this week, a fantastic pick this week. 18-1. The lineups I do, and I'm only going to do a couple lineups. I've got 1 built so far. I might do 2 more. I'll obviously do my showdown lineups as the weekend unfolds. But I'll only do very, very limited amount of lineups for this event. But Viktor Hovland will be in a lot of them. Cam Smith last week. What on the Live Tour? I couldn't even think of the name of the tour for a second, Adam. That's how much I forget about it. Look, I will heavily consider, Adam, Cam Smith next week to repeat as Open champion. I know it's hard to do, repeat as a major champion, period. But I will strongly consider it because I know he didn't win last week. But he's still a guy that plays really well. Kind of wasn't even thinking Cam Smith this week because of the Live Tour stuff. But he will be in play next week. Who else do I like this week? I'm looking at this model. Obviously, Xander's the defending champion. You can go that way. I don't like his price. I don't like his odds. I went to Matthew Fitzpatrick after Viktor Hovland. He will probably be, if Viktor Hovland is, it's going to be either Hovland or Fitzpatrick or both in every single lineup. He just strikes me as a guy that should play this. He finished 6th here last year, top 20, 21st at the Open Championship, 26th at the Open Championship the year before. He's played well in Europe many of times. So I really do like him this week. I think he can contend this week. He's got multiple top 20. I'm just looking. I'm going back through his thing on a separate screen. The last time he missed a cut at the Open or Genesis was back in 2018. So if Matthew Fitzpatrick's a guy I like, his game's not been perfect this year, but this is a type of course that he can really fire away at, and I think he could grind his way out to if it gets to like 8 to 10 under, he could win this event. So Viktor Hovland, 18-1, Matthew Fitzpatrick, 22-1, Alexander Bjork, 110-1, and I got one other pick this week that I like outright, and that's Minwoo Lee. Finishes 34th in the model, obviously. Nothing spectacular, but this guy's a guy that bounces back and forth. So his last 2 PGA Tour events, the U.S. Open, 5th place. The Travelers, 9th place. He also has an 18th at the PGA. Let's see. He missed the cut at the Masters, 6th at the Players. But he's also got a 15th at the Betfred British Masters. He's got, where's his other? 13th and a 2nd, and a 3rd and a 4th. So he went 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 13th on the World Tour. Then he came over here and had some great finishes in majors and the Players Championship. Then he goes back over there for the British Masters, has a top 15. So Minwoo Lee is a guy that 35-1 that I think is a fantastic play on DraftKings. What's his price on DraftKings real quick? It's it's 8,900. I think Minwoo Lee is a fantastic play. Top 3. I think all these names, and what I'm going to do. So I think this is the type of week that you could bet top 3, top 5 for any of these guys. Bjork would probably be. I can't pull up my sports book on the screen. I got too many tabs open at him. But look up Alexander Bjork. Maybe a top 5. He's 110-1 to win it. But if you want to place a top 10 bet, I bet you can get great odds on Bjork finishing top 10. And I'll go back to him in a second for you here, Adam. His number, since you missed the opening part of the show, his last, this is his going from his most recent event straight back. 4th, 8th, 9th, 6th, 29th, 4th, 4th, 14th, 16th, and then he had a 28th, a 42, and then a 2nd, a 16th. The guy is borderline, Bjork, pushing Scotty Scheffler top 12 type finishing categories. I think he's a slam dunk to get to the top 10. And I think at 7,100 on DraftKings, 110-1 outright, he's a guy. Hell, you might, if you want to really just take all the risk out of the play, bet someone like him top 20. I bet you get 2-1, 3-1 on your money of a Bjork top 20. So it's a guy that you got to look at building your card around. I don't do first round leaders. I might even consider him for a first round leader. He's got to be one of my favorites. I talked about and thought about Thomas Dietrich and Ryan Fox, guys formerly from the DP Tour, playing on the PGA Tour mostly. I just don't like them enough to bet them. If I was doing 20 lineups, they'd be in my player pool. I'm not doing that many lineups. Look, I think the biggest concern this week, so you're trying to keep your card and your investment very small, I think, this week, and trying to gain as much information as you can for next week. But it doesn't mean there's not money to be made. That's why I'm still doing lineups. I'm still putting some bets out there. And now I just convinced myself to put 4 more bets out there since the show started. I'm all in on Alex Bjork this week. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Bjork, Bjork. Looks like Bjork, but that's where I'm looking this week on this event. I'm trying to find a few guys that I could zone in on. I'm confident in Victor Hovland, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Minwoo Lee. I love the risk reward of Bjork, and then I'm just going to mess around with a few lineups around that with those 4 names. Try to make some money in that. Use our experience and our knowledge there. And that's it. I'm just going to keep it very simple this week there. But that's not the only event. I'm going to take this off the screen for a second while I refresh, because I got to change, edit custom stat model, go to stat model number 2, load model, and change it to the other event, because there's another event. And there's more money to be made. Everybody's ignoring. Like, you go out there and you read the articles and you do the prep work every single week, and there's plenty of lineups that are plenty of people with clout, tout, whatever you want to call them, that are completely ignoring the Barbasol Championship. Yeah, it's not something that people want to talk about. Keen Trace is the name of the course. It's a par 72. It's not fun. It's a birdie fest. Not this week. There's no Ricky Fowler on me. I don't know if I'll do him in the Open Championship or not. I'll have to think long and hard. I'll have to refresh on Royal Liverpool, the course, this week. But he's probably someone I shy away from this week, and definitely shy away from this week, and maybe even next week. Look, we talked about it last week, me and Jason. Well, we tried to, other than the fact that we kind of got butchered with the start of the show last week, that even though Ricky Fowler is sort of back, I don't know if he's fully back, because he's even went before his drop-off happened. He still struggled in major championships to an extent. So he can never close the deal in a major. I don't know how I feel about Ricky Fowler yet. I'm going to want to see his next 2, 3, 4 events, and then we could talk about next year Ricky Fowler maybe contending at the Masters or the PGA or something like that before we even worry about anything else. So let me put this one back up on the screen. So now we got the Barbasol Championship. The all forgot. I mean, nobody's talking about it. No one's doing it. I went out and put 3 outright bets right away out there on the card. I wasn't wasting time. What is the Barbasol Championship? It's going to be a birdie fest, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. It is going to be an event that wide open fairways, generous greens, soft fairways, soft greens, no rough pretty much at all. It's an event that you can win it. If someone like John Rahm or Scotty Scheffler was in this event, we'd be talking about 25, 28 under at this course. I mean, what happened there? Did I stop my share screen? Yeah. Hold on. Let me get that back up there. I don't know what I did there. Clicked something there. Got the share screen off by mistake. The Barbasol, you can make money for sure. So I built this quick, cheap, simple model, taking into account birdies are better off the basic stats: approach, off the tee, birdies are better, ball striking, tee to green, and putting. That's it. Basic. Very basic. And then I looked at who are the guys at the top of this model that make a lot of birdies. Lucas Glover, 22-1. He's listed at 22-1. I got him at 28-1 earlier today. A guy number 2 in birdies or better in this field, Vincent Norman. Shots gained total, first in the field, second in birdies or better. 28-1 I got him at. He's gone down to 25-1. And then I did MJ Duffy at 35-1. Best off the tee player in the field, top 10, birdies or better. So I made 3 bets on this, 28-1 on 2 of them and 35-1 on another one. And they're guys that have contended in the weaker fields this year, at the John Deere, at the, Punta Cana Championship or the Puerto Rico Open or any of those kind of events. These are the guys I looked at. Lucas Glover's played well, actually, recently. So that's that. So hold on, let me switch my DraftKings board to the contest that I built over there, just to kind of get an idea of some of the other names that I looked at. Some of the names I liked last week, like Kevin Roy. I don't even know. Yeah, it's Kevin Roy. He didn't win, but he finished in 31st place. He's a 7K guy on DraftKings. He's missed some cuts. He's had 18th at the Mexico Open earlier this year, made the cut, the Punta Cana event. He makes cuts at weak events, and this one's weak as weak. So you could build a lineup around him. Someone like KOD. I always say his name. KOD. It's Satoshi Kodera. Guy that makes the cuts at the weak fields. Made the cut John Deere and the Rocket Mortgage, the Mexico Open. You know, he makes the cuts at those weaker events. The Zozo Championship back in October. He'll never contend. He'll miss every cut when it's a deeper field, but you can make money on him. You can. You know, Troy Merritt, a name that's contended on the PGA Tour in the past. Chad Ramey, been good. Ryan Gerard, a guy we liked before. These are names you could build lineups around. You don't have to worry about sticker shock of someone like some of these guys. But that's what it is. The name I was curious about, and I don't like his price. I don't like his odds on the event. Peter Kust, I guess is how you say his name. 17th last week, 4th at Rocket Mortgage. We really didn't know much about this guy until he made his debut at the Valero. He's been hot as can be. Sticker shock is one thing. I just think there's too much sticker shock with him. He's getting too much attention. I'm backing off on him. I don't like his price. I don't like his odds. I'd rather spend my money elsewhere than him at 25-1. I prefer Dafu at 35-1 or Glover 28-1. But the guy's a good golfer, and he's a guy we're going to see on tour for a long time. So you could make the case for that. I also love these dueling events because it gave me the opportunity to place a really long shot type bet. And Tyrell Hatton, the guy that we love on the PGA Tour, who's in the Scottish Open, and he's a high risk, high reward kind of guy. And then a guy that's in this field, Akshay Bhatia, I still can't say his name. What's he driving his U-Haul truck this week? In this event, he is 28-1. So I was able to do a little research this week, find two guys that I don't like outright. I'm not going to bet $5, $10 on either of them to win. Maybe they get into a lineup or two, not many, but you parlay the two of those together, Hatton and Bhatia. It is plus 60,800. Every dollar pays out over $600 bet. So I laid $2 on them, on the both of them winning this event. And both of them can. They're both favored enough and both in good enough form that they could win this event. $2 bet pays out over $1,200. Why not? I love that part of this kind of philosophy. Look, this is not a week to go crazy. This is not a week to break your bank on it. This is not a week to go out of control. But what it is, it's a week to have a little fun, but it's especially a week to sit and do your research. The thing about this Barbasol Championship, and look, this is not, how do I say this? This is not betting knowledge, but it gets the back end of attention because of the Genesis Scottish Open, because it's such a weak field, because next week's the final major, the U.S. or the Open Championship. But it's a very important event for a lot of golfers. Winning this event clears up so many exemptions, get your card on the tour. It doesn't get you the most points on the FedEx rankings, but there's a lot of money and a lot of exemptions and a lot of access to the PGA Tour you get by winning this event. So it's a big deal to a lot of guys. So I think it shouldn't get completely written off the card as at least talked about, at least watched. Yes, our eyes will be on the Scottish Open, and I am going to be, when I'm watching the Scottish Open this weekend, my notebook's going to be out. I'm going to be taking notes for next week's show. Back Monday. We'll try to go live a little earlier next week. Jason will be back next week. Hopefully we won't have any technical difficulties next week. But the Barbasol still has importance to it, to a lot of golfers. And all of this attention is put on the elevated events. All this attention is put on, the majors. These lesser events are just like the off-season, kind of, sort of. The CJ Cup, the events in October and November. We forget about them. There's a lot of importance that comes out of these events. Somebody like, let's go down this list. Novak or Kaziri or Murray or Malnati, come out and win this event. they're clearing their way. Austin Smotherman won events that are not as important. You know, someone like Gerard or KOD, who's only partially exempt for the PGA Tour. It means a lot to them this week. So I think it's something that we can all take into account, give it a little bit of little bit of eyes, and maybe in other years, if we pay a little bit more attention to these type of events, you know, people, the PGA Tour will take them more seriously. But that's that. So again, to recap this week, I'm going very small, investment wise, in lineups. I still got a fair, like I said, now I got 3, 4. I got 8 outright bets, 7 outright bets, and a parlay outright bet. So I still got a decent amount of bets. I've lowered my investment on each bet a little bit. And I'm going to add, it looks like, Al Bjork, some top 20 and first round leader bets and stuff like that on him, because something about that number, made me think as I'm doing. That's the thing about this show. It makes me reconsider a lot of things as I'm talking it out. And all of a sudden, Adam's one question made me rethink about a lot of things there. So I'm going to add a lot of Alec Bjork to my card. But outside of that, just want to do a quick show, give people some basic information and what I'm looking for this week. And I'm using this week to try to make money because there's money to be made. And a little bit of research, and instead of doing 20 lineups, doing a couple single entry lineups in each event could go a long way. And you can make some good cashes and good wins this week to pad that bankroll for next week's Open Championship, the final major of the year. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up early tonight. I got to get tomorrow morning show up, trending in the AM. So I got lots to do this morning tonight. I got a half a glass of wine here to finish drinking. So I'm going to wrap up Fairway to Heaven this week. A short, simple, quick episode. Y'all have a great night. A great day tomorrow. We'll see you next week for Open Championship talk here on Fairway to Heaven, 9 o'clock, Philadelphia Sports Network. Like, share, retweet, follow, tell a friend, do all that you can do. Have a great night. See you next week. Oh, I don't even need, I got an outro to play. What am I doing? I got a real outro for this show. Where is it? Yeah, y'all have a good one. We'll talk to you later.